Flash is a new DC movie directed by Andy Muschietti. It comes out next week, and I got a chance to see this movie a little bit early. It's set within the DCEU, but it's also a film that is supposed to basically put an end to the DCEU and create a brand new universe. New universe is called the DCU. This movie stars Ezra Miller and Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Sasha Calle, Kiersey Clemons. What this is essentially a time travel story with Barry Allen. Barry Allen in this movie is played by Ezra Miller. Barry decides that he wants to go back in time in this movie. He wants to right some wrongs. He wants to fix some things with his life. And while going back in time, he inadvertently creates an alternate timeline where in this timeline, there's no metahumans, and all of a sudden the Earth is under attack from Zod and the aliens from Man of Steel. So now Barry has to team up with other heroes like Supergirl and like Michael Keaton's Batman so that he can have a chance to save not only this Earth, but also multiple Earths, multiple universes. Your basic Barry Allen time traveling type of story, basically. There's been a lot of hype, a lot of discussion surrounding this movie, a lot of discourse. There's a lot of divisiveness about it online when you look at like diehard day one DC fans. I was at the very least morbidly curious about how they would decide to end the DCEU. And now that I've seen the movie, I can say it's actually a good time. It's a good movie. I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. At the very least, it's a crowd pleaser. So I think like the general audience is definitely going to be happy with this movie. They're going to be talking about it for a while. Ezra Miller does a really good job in this film. They bring the appropriate amount of emotion and levity to different situations depending on what the movie's calling for. They also have this tightrope balancing act where they have to portray Barry Allen, but they also have to portray Barry Allen at two different places in Barry's life. And that can be a difficult challenge sometimes when you ask an actor or an actress to try to pull two different performances out of their ass. Luckily, Ezra pulls it out of their ass pretty effectively, if I do say so myself. It sounded a little bit more nasty than I was intending it to sound, but guys, just work with me. I have a way with words here. The more emotional parts of the movie definitely belong to Ezra. This is, by the way, front and center, a Barry Allen story. A lot of people saw the previews and the promo material and they're like, is this a Batman movie featuring Flash? Is this a Batman and Supergirl movie that happens to have the Flash in it? Nope, this is 100% a Barry Allen story. This is all about the Flash. Like Batman and Supergirl are there, but they're there as supporting characters. Speaking of Michael Keaton's Batman, I don't have the emotional attachment to his Batman that other people will, so other people are probably going to enjoy him more than I did. Having said that, I enjoyed his Batman in this movie. I thought he was good. I thought there was like a little mini arc that played well into what Barry was doing in this movie. In terms of the Batman action sequences, both between Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton, I thought the movie kicked a ton of ass in that department. Some great fight sequences, some great chase sequences. Like some of the action sequences in this movie absolutely are jaw-dropping to watch. Michael Keaton, while he is there for nostalgia, that's not the only reason he's there, and I did appreciate that. Sasha Calle probably was one of my favorite things about the movie. The only frustrating thing is she's not really in the movie that much, but I really appreciated the badassery of her Supergirl. She was fierce, but she was also very reserved, and she had heart, she had compassion at different moments. I would definitely love to see her Supergirl continue, and if possible, in the new DCU. The movie does have some funny moments. When they don't overdo it and they don't overstay their welcome on certain jokes, I think it clicks pretty well. Like I mentioned before, the action sequences, there's some really good ones throughout the film. A lot of big, huge, exciting action sequences. Definitely feels like a DC blockbuster. Some really unique and interesting ways they decided to portray Barry's powers in this movie. And if you're a DC fan, there's definitely plenty of Easter eggs, cameos, references, both to the previous DCEU and to movies from way, way, way back in the day. I'm not gonna spoil them, obviously, but if you're a fan of that type of stuff, if you want to be serviced as a fan, there's some solid fan service in here. Not all of it works, but the parts of it that did work, I really liked. This is a very emotional story. This is a movie that has a lot of heart. Barry is essentially put in a position where he has to learn to accept the things that he can't control. That idea of learning to let go of your pain so that you can move forward, that idea of accepting the fact that not every situation has an easy solution, not every problem can be solved, like that is at the core and at the heart of this movie, and I thought most of that was executed pretty well. That being said, I had a fun time with this movie, but I was also frustrated while watching it because while I think it's a good movie, all of the little things in this movie, they just add up to flaws that take away from the whole, and it leaves you feeling a little bit disappointed. At least it left me feeling a little bit disappointed. I'm gonna start off with my biggest issue with the movie, actually. My biggest issue is visually how the movie looks. The movie does have some good cinematography. There's good shot composition. There's some beautiful things that they do with the camera at different moments. But when it comes to the CGI and the visual effects, there's just no other way to put it. It's just not good enough. This is not me complaining about the fact that there is CGI in the movie. I am well aware that we don't have real speedsters running around there. And if they do, they're you know, they're too fast for us to see them, so we shouldn't really worry about it. I'm just talking about the quality of the visual effects. Like, sometimes there's great shots in the movie, there's great cinematography, but then sometimes within these shots, there's really shitty CGI. I'm not talking like shitty for 2023. I'm talking about like, this is shitty CGI that goes back decades. Like, we're talking early 2000s, late 90s era style CGI. Did they blow the rest of the budget on Cheez-Its or something? Like, what were they doing? Why wasn't the visual effects in this movie made as good as it could have possibly looked? You could call me spoiled, but I've just seen a lot of other beautiful looking blockbusters, beautiful looking DC and Marvel movies over the last few years, and this is just not gonna get it done. It just does not look good. And I know that some people are gonna say, based on some of the sequences in the movie, that maybe it was an intentional choice to make the CG look bad. For those people, the only thing I really have to say is,
shut when you think about it.
okay, I'm kidding. Think whatever you want about it. All I'm saying is that excuse doesn't really fly for me. Digital rendering of certain characters or certain scenes, like some of it just looked so fake and artificial, and some of it just did not look convincing enough. It just did not look real enough. I think I also have a bunch of little nitpicks about certain decisions that are made in the movie, about certain characters, certain plot points. I will say that a lot of these little things just started to add up over the movie. Certain decisions that I didn't agree with. A lot of these nitpicks will sound like spoilers, so I'm gonna save that for a spoiler video. Regardless, I do think there's some unanswered questions and some bizarre storytelling choices in the third act that left me scratching my head, left me feeling a little bit unfulfilled and unsatisfied. I'm not gonna spoil anything about how the movie ends or the post-credit scene if you decide to stay after, but my God, it just feels so pointless, like such a waste of time. A little, I'm not gonna say disrespectful, but it just feels distasteful in a couple of ways. And again, I can't say what I'm talking about because spoilers. It's a crowd pleaser. It's definitely got some banger moments. I appreciate the emotion that was brought, the performances, and some of the action. But overall, it's a good movie that I left feeling a little bit disappointed in. I'm gonna leave this one in the Daily Planet. Those are my thoughts on The Flash, so tell me, are you excited to see it? What's your favorite movie of the year so far? Go ahead and put that in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to The Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.